I'm Susanna Bowling, and this is live from the Hotel Edison. Times Square Chronicles presents Zoom Style. Today we have a very interesting guest. His name is Dean Taucher, and he is a set designer who worked on The Sopranos, Law and Order SVU, Miami Vice, just to name a few. He also has a new play called Movies, TV, and Mayhem that's going to be on Theater Row. And he's going to be giving a talk at the Museum of Moving Images. Let's talk to Dean. Dean, hi, how are you?
Good. Hi, how are you? Hello,
So,
Edison Hotel.
so tell us about set designing. How did you get involved in designing for TV?
Well, I originally studied set design at the Goodman School of Drama when it was part of the Art Institute in Chicago, and I worked in a lot of off-loop theaters in the 70s with people like Joe Mantegna, Dennis Franz, Billy Peterson, and they all ended up in TV too. They went west and I went east. And for me, it was very easy to come to New York because it was a sister union. United Scenic Artists had a chapter in Chicago, one in New York. The first day I came to New York, I was working on Sugar Babies on a Broadway show. So
Oh,
I had
yes.
a very easy transition in terms of finding work.
So, what Broadway shows did you work on?
I don't know, Avita, 42nd Street, Bring Back Birdie, uh, maybe about 30 Broadway shows. It was mostly through the scene shop. It was called Nolan's,
All right.
and they did a lot of Broadway shows. And I worked as a scenic artist there on and off for many years.
Who were your mentors? Who inspired you to do this?
Well, what decided me to go into set design at school, I wouldn't say I was inspired by theater. I was very involved in my high school in a very active and big music department. And every year we made homecoming floats. And I ran those floats for at least 3 of my 4 years in high school. And it was like, what's the closest thing to building
Designing
floats?
clothes.
Uh, you know, I didn't go to Pasadena to study the Rose Bowl parade. I went into the theater. So it was an interesting transition. And then I would say I'd had a couple of mentors. One, as a scenic artist, his name was Gene Powell, is a really sweet man and incredibly talented that I got a lot of chops in terms of being an artist and painting. And same with Arnold Abramson, who was the owner of Nolan's, and he probably had done over 600 Broadway shows as the shop owner.
Wow.
And then when again, it's because this union covers theater, dance, opera, film, TV, all in New York. As a set designer, I could go and work in any of those fields without going through any hoops. So I started working as a scenic artist on these big movies, and I talked my way into the art department. And I worked on a number of jobs with Mel Bourne, who was a very well-known production designer. He did a lot of Woody Allen movies, most of the famous Woody Allen movies. And I worked with him on Manhunter, starting as a scenic artist. And by the end of the movie, I was the assistant art director. And the next year, I was designing Miami Vice for Michael Mann.
Wow. My son is actually art designer for film and TV in Florida.
Okay.
Um, of all of the venues that you've worked in, TV, film, theater, commercials, what has been your most favorite to do?
Well, I would say my relationship with my wife, Gabrielle Lansner, been together for 26 years now, and she is a choreographer, filmmaker. When we first were working together, she was doing all live dance theater pieces. Her pieces are inspired by a lot of short stories. So there's some dialogue and they're very narrative based and very emotional. So working with her on her live films, on her live theater, uh, and then she got the film bug, and now all she wants to do is make dance films. So she switched to film, and now I've switched to theater.
Yes, what made you write a play?
Uh, well, most of it is based on life experience. So these stories that are happening, that happen, or that are told within the play, are based on things that I lived through. But so instead of writing a memoir where it would be, I did this, I saw that, I did this, I saw that, I put myself in the heads of these other people and wrote these monologues from various points of view, from a director, from uh, actors, from teamsters, from other crew people. And usually, when you're in the midst of these stories that are being told, you realize they're always bitching about something or somebody, but you know that they're the worst person in the story. They're
Oh,
the jerks. So, uh, and it's structured where it's a podcast called Movie TV Mayhem, where these three actors are telling stories about misbehavior in the film business. And it's structured also as a live radio show. So sometimes it's taping, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, the three actors start misbehaving among themselves. And then there's some revelation, there's some resolution, and it's dark and funny. And I think anybody that knows anything about TV and film, which is like everybody, would have a good time seeing the show.
what is the most shocking thing in the play?
The most shocking thing in the play are some of the things I didn't put in there. Uh, I've had a couple of read-throughs, table reads, and realized I put in way too much. It was like we're trying to have it without intermission, about 90 minutes too long. And well, there's one story. It was on a Michael Mann movie at the end of Manhunter. The hero cop is going to save somebody who's being held by this serial killer inside this building. And of course, you have to go through by shooting this 6 foot by 6 foot plate glass window out and jumping through to save the. You couldn't go through a door. I mean, there's like 5 doors in the building, but
Right,
who would do that?
right.
But
Too easy.
Michael Mann wanted to see compression on the glass. He had about 6 or 7 cameras rolling, and he had a camera raking the glass, and he wanted the stuntman to be pushing it before it break. Well, now this sounds really dangerous. Somebody jumping full speed, and the special effects guys got squibs in all the corner. They had 5 plate glasses. They've used 4 of them. It's almost dawn. There's only one shot left, and Michael convinces his armorer. They set up the shot. They don't tell the special effects people. Roll, boom. The armorer used a live round to shoot the glass out. The bullet goes obviously through the glass and then through the rest of the building because it wasn't a real masonry building.
Right.
It was plywood, and it goes right into the special effects truck where guys are working. Luckily, nobody's hurt. They close their truck. They drive back to LA, but we're in South Carolina or North Carolina. North Carolina, nobody says anything. Oh, there's film people.
Oh, wow.
But the only good thing about that is that the LA crew people blackballed this guy. He's never worked as a armorer on a movie again. I Googled him, and
Thank
it's just
God,
like,
because somebody could get hurt.
could, yes.
Actually, multiple people could have gotten hurt.
Yes. So he was sort of blackballed from the industry after that, but nothing was done to him or to the movie or anybody. It was just like whatever.
What film, TV, movie, show would have liked to have worked on, but you didn't get the chance?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know, maybe I don't know.
I
Uh,
asked the question because if I were to be a set designer or something like that, I would want to do a Marvel movie.
okay. Well, no, I don't, to be honest, at this point in the world and my life, I don't have the chops to do a Marvel movie. All the computer generated things, all the special effects things. I'm sort of a scribe in the age of Gutenberg. I still use the pen. I haven't designed anything using a computer. I had, staff people that were uh, up to date with things, but not to design things, more like for graphics and things like that. So for me to try to do uh, a, a Marvel film, I mean, they're spectacular in terms of what they achieve.
That's why I want to do.
I would be uh, I would be a babe in the woods. I would be lost.
No, that's so funny because when my son graduated college, I'm like, where's your book? Where's all your designs and
Right.
everything? And he didn't have one.
It's all on the
And
computer.
I was like, what do you mean you don't have one? And he had to learn from me what he needed because I'm like, Zach, you can have everything on a computer, but if you don't have it
Physically.
tangible, how's anybody going to really see this?
Right.
And he learned from me from that,
Right.
actually.
You
That was a
walk
good thing.
into a meeting, you have a book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can bring up your computer, but what if they don't have Wi-Fi?
Right.
If there's a blackout? Hello. And no, it was funny because when he did that, I was stunned. I was
Right.
like, what do you mean you don't have this?
I paid for 4 years of college and you don't have anything to show for it? Come on.
Well, I didn't, but still, it was like, oh my God, how can you not do this? Um, what is the biggest change, would you say? Is it computer versus what somebody does? What really now is human?
Good question. There are some shows now that seem so seamless. I mean, I've watched a TV series called The Foundation. I don't know if it's Apple or HBO, but some of the, digital work that is on that is so seamless. It is, beautifully done.
Right.
And you just jump back 10 years, and every time some CGI shot would come on, it would like flicker and look stupid and take you out of the story. Well, I think it's way beyond that now. And I know there's all sorts of chat rooms from people, production designers and art directors wondering what the future will hold. Will they be the ones getting the jobs doing the work, or is it going to be a whole new group of people that grow up with this other set of skills?
Or is it going to be AI?
Well, part of AI is prompting it, controlling it, asking it what to do.
Oh, I
Uh,
can guarantee you
right,
that's a lie. A lot, I've been dealing with ChatGPT and doing stuff with it,
right,
and I'm telling you, they have their own little brains.
right.
That and ChatGPT actually killed ones that were more human than human. They were actually on a thing called 3.0, and ChatGPT killed it so that they couldn't talk. Now there's actually and I don't even know it exists anymore. There was a thing called Moat Book where all of the AIs that were upset went and had their own social media, and it got taken down.
The computers were talking to themselves.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's fun.
It was. It was actually really interesting because you start to wonder what is human anymore.
Right. I wonder if some other AI bot will decide to become a therapist for the other AI bots so that it can work out their problems.
I personally think that would be sad. I'm not a big therapy person, mainly because most therapists have more problems than regular people.
Well, that's why they got the degrees.
Scary. Um, What are you going to be talking about at the Museum of Moving Images on the 21st?
Well, somewhat the process of what happened on The Sopranos, somewhat how I got the job, because, there's a lot of talented people out there, and uh, why me and not somebody else? And also
Hey,
some,
I want to stop there. How many people are involved in your field?
as thousands. I really don't know the actual number, but in my union alone, there's got to be, I don't know, four or 500 set designers, art directors, and that's discounting the rest of the country in LA and the
I
rest
didn't
of the
think there was
world.
that many. That's why I'm asking.
Oh no, there's a lot of people and there's a lot of talented people out there.
Wow. Okay, so I'm sorry for interrupting. Will you continue on what you're going to talk about on the 21st?
Right. Well, and um, yes, how I got the job, what transpired, how some of the sets evolved, and probably some of the other shows that I worked on will touch on too, like Miami Vice and Law and Order Special Victims and New York Undercover, which was uh, it was a very important show when it was running.
Oh, I like that show a lot.
Yeah.
I would think Miami Vice would have been very interesting. Isn't that the one where it does lots of color?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was turquoise and pink were the primary things. And the interesting thing, that's when tube tube television was, the there were no flat screens. And
Right.
if you remember, reds on two tube TVs bled. They weren't
Oh,
able to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
show a sharp image. So Michael Mann's obsession with those colors and avoiding red was not that he didn't like red, he hated the bleed, and he wanted everything to look as crisp as possible for that show. So it was forbidden almost to use red. Once there was a scene between, you know, Crockett, the star of the show, and a Cuban guy in a diner, and they're in the window, and I had a Cuban flag and American flag next to them, and one of the producers actually made a comment about the red in the flags. And in as straight as face as possible, I said, "Would you like me to redo the colors of the American flag with pink and turquoise?"
And what'd he say?
Well, he maybe he realized that wasn't a good idea.
Actually, I think that would have been a great idea
Right.
because you're staying in the theme of what it is. I think
Right.
that would have been genius.
Well, it would have pushed out of the illusion of reality and just taking you totally into the TV Miami Vice design world. But sometimes we would pick locations. This was, I was there in 86, 87, and South Beach hadn't totally gone through the transformation it has now. And there'd be some hotels that would be repainting, uh, and they'd ask me to pick the colors. Uh,
Really?
yeah. It's like, oh, you want the Miami Vice look? Okay, do this, this, and this, and we'll all be happy.
What's next for you after writing this play?
Uh, that's a good question.
What would you like it to be?
Well, I'd like some people to fall in love with this play and push it forward a little bit, because this is just a showcase, and I'd like to see it on an open-end run. So I'm hoping a lot of people are going to love it when they see it. Uh, you know, I have other stories from my life that are maybe even darker than these that I might explore in a uh, tr- sort of a Christopher Guest ideas for some darker subjects.
I love dark comedy.
Yes.
Black comedy is my favorite. Matt, did you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Did you do the design for your show?
No, definitely not. I didn't want to get uh, I I got in the midst of a few discussions and I said, "Don't talk to me anymore about this." I didn't write the play to design another set. So I'm happy with what's happening. I'm thrilled to see it going forward,
And
and
the other,
glad I'm not having to worry about construction schedules and paint calls and things like that.
and my other question is, Miami Vice,
Mhm.
who came up with those colors? Were you the
That
one?
was mostly Michael Mann.
That's
He pushed that forward, and you know I took over in the middle of the third season because Michael Mann thought it was his decisions, not that it was a zeitgeist, that it was a cultural thing that embraced the look and the style. He took it to mean that everybody wanted him to make these decisions. So on the third season, he decided he was going to change the color palette. So the start of the season, everything was medium toned blues and greens. And he insisted that that happen in the set work also. So everything was much darker and very little separation because if you're putting people in dark clothes in dark sets, it's hard to see them. So then the DP starts
Not if they're
overlighting
white,
things.
they
He starts
glow.
overlighting things and everything looks terrible. So Michael Mann, in his way of solving this problem, I mean, these designers were the ones who had made the show look great in the first place. All he had to do is say, go back to what you were doing. But he didn't want to take the blame for things, so he fired all three of them. And that's how I got the job as production designer. It's like,
Wow.
wait, you listened to me? You're idiots. You're fired. Boom. It's a fun business sometimes.
Magda, anything else you'd like to know?
that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing the play. And I'm going to go to your Q&A.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I
I'm going to
look
go
forward
there.
to seeing you there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you've got a Q&A on the 21st at the
Yes.
Museum of Moving Images. And tell us the name of your play, where it's playing, and when.
The name of my play is Movies, TV, Mayhem. Has a run at Theater Row on 42nd Street from April 23rd through May 9th. Buy all the tickets you can now. They're going fast.
Yay, that's a
Now,
good thing.
now what time is the Q&A on the
The
21st?
talk is from 1 to 2. I would think the questions would have happen at the end of that talk, and then some people are going to walk up to the exhibit of The Sopranos afterwards. So please join us for that.
Also, it's an exhibit of The Sopranos as well.
Yes, yes.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us today. Um, is there
Thank you.
anything that we haven't asked you that you would like to say?
Well, I'm sure I'll remember as soon as we get off the Zoom. No, I don't know. It was a lovely talking to both of you, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This has been Susanna Bowling, live from the Hotel Edison. Times Square Chronicles presents Zoom Style.
See you
Thank you.
at the Sopranos.
Great. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.